Good morning everybody. As you can see from the sunlight shining through the window, we've actually not got rain this morning, which is quite nice, considering we've been run down with rain the last few days. So today we're on block 2 of the Japanese FPP sew along, and this time it's going to be the comb. Just bear with me. Should have had everything ready, shouldn't I? So there's the comb pattern. It will be in the description for you to download the pattern. So can you see? There is what the comb looks like actually in the block, and the next block we'll be doing is the straight kimono, which will be next Friday at 2 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time and 9 o'clock Eastern Standard and 8 o'clock Central Time, I think. So let's get on with this. Again, we'll be doing the block 2 ways like we did the last one, with the sew through the paper and the no sew style as well, where you don't have to rip all the papers out afterwards. So we're starting as we did before. This is the one we're going to sew through the paper. The fabric that you're using for A1 you stick onto the back, and I'm going to fold all my papers back and I'm going to trim them all to the 1/4 inch ready on all the sides, and so that I can then just start putting on the next lines. All of your fabric sizes that you need to cut are in the description block. So that's my piece for A2, which is going to line up just on the back of that part there, and then I'm going to sew through the paper. Right, I'm going to experiment here and see if I can hold that while I sew. Come on. Well, that was a little difficult, but it did work, as you can see there. So now we're going to trim that piece down. We've now got the next piece ready to sew, which is going to sew along that line there. Right, now as you can see, if you can just see through there, I am short on this piece here. There's a little bit of fabric missing. I'm not going to rip that piece out. What I'm going to do is to take just a scrap of that I've cut off, and I'm going to just put it onto there, and just not through the paper, but just sew those 2 pieces together so that it'll cover it, because I'm not going to rip out paper. So as you can see, there's the little bit I've just added to make sure that it covers that piece properly, which it does now. The comb is starting to take shape, which is looking quite good. I quite like these fabrics. So that's the first piece of the background fabric added. So we're just continually adding one piece after the next. This is piece 8 that I'm adding now. So piece 9 is the final side piece of the comb. So just keep trimming down to your 1/4 inch and adding your next piece on and sewing through your paper line. Now, as you can see, I didn't quite hit the line. In the grand scheme of things, it's not going to make a great lot of difference that you're a little bit out. Your design is still going to look the same, so don't go fretting and pulling it all out and getting frustrated with it. Just let it be, because once it's quilted, no one's going to notice. Now, as you can see, piece 10 and piece 11 are pretty much one big long piece. And if you're very careful when you place your piece on, you can actually stitch down that line. You can even put that bit of an angle in, and when you fold it back, you've got two pieces made out of one piece of fabric, if your fabric's big enough. It's up to you. You can do it however you like. And like I said before, in the grand scheme of things, when it's quilted, no one's going to tell. Well, chicken bobbin worked out there. I just got to the end and my bobbin run out. So this now needs a good press, flat, and then it needs squaring up to 6.5. All the blocks are made at 6.5. And then once they've done, they get a border on either side, top and bottom, of 1.5 inches, so it works out at about 1 inch wide by the time you've added you've got 1 inch board around your blocks. Thank you. So now we're going to move on to doing the same thing again, but this time with the freezer paper version, where you don't sew through the paper. This is going to be done exactly the same way as we did with the first block. By when you fold your on your lines, you're going to sew as close to the edge of your paper as you can. So that's the next one we're going to try. So the first part of this is you get your freezer paper and you iron your fabric that you're using for A1 onto your freezer paper with the back of the fabric onto the sticky of the freezer paper, and then we're going to trim that down all the way round to 1/4 inch. So there's your first piece, all trimmed down to 1/4 inch all the way round, and the next piece is your comb. Okay, let's see if we can get this to show you what we're doing. Come on, I know you don't like me only having one hand on. That would have worked so much better had I got bobbin in my thread, in my bottom. Thank you. Right, try again. Take 2. So there is that bit pressed back, and we're going to trim it and then move on to the next few pieces, and then I'll be back once the comb's completed. The process is the same all the way along. Trim, sew, press back onto the freezer paper, move on to your next piece, trim it, sew your next piece in, press it back onto the freezer paper. So there is the freezer paper one all pieced with the freezer paper still on the back. Now it's just a case of taking off the freezer paper and squaring your block up to 6.5. So we have 2 blocks completed. This one still has the paper on the back, but the freezer paper one is ready to add your border to it. So I want to thank you for watching. Next one we're going to do is the straight kimono, which is a few more pieces, but it's not too difficult. So that will be next Friday and that will be live. Thank you.